As we get everybody settled, I just wanted to welcome, first of all, can you hear me in the back? Judy, can you hear me all right? Thank you. Well, welcome everybody to Fort Roberdeau. My name is Glenn Nelson. I am the director at Fort Roberdeau. It's been a fun couple weeks as the Kiwanis Camp reunion folks have been calling and sharing their stories, and I know a lot of people are excited to be here, and we're working to capture those stories on video. So if you haven't had a chance to be on video, we'll be doing that shortly. I want to acknowledge one person from my group first, Peggy Fields, who is greeting you as you come in the door there. Peggy is, in case you didn't know, we were a bicentennial project. I'm going to give you a quick history, not before dinner, but after dinner. You never keep between people and their food. I've learned that a long time. Yeah. And just so folks know, I was a camp director. I worked for 15 years with National Wildlife Federation, and we had a Ranger Rick Wildlife Camp down in Pisgah, North Carolina, and then we started a backpacking program in Colorado, and I was the director of the backpacking program. So we took teens backpacking in Colorado. So welcome to Fort Roberdeau. And Dave, did you want to say anything before dinner?
I just want to thank all the campers and all the counselors for being here and this nice reunion. If you didn't get interviewed, please agree to stay a little bit afterwards, after we're done with the program later on, to get interviewed. Please, we'd really like to have your history. What we're going to do is ask 2 questions, and that's it. So thanks for coming. And
yeah, we'll get ready to eat. Now, as the fort director, camp director, and I also major cluggage when the school tour's here, I dress up. And I heard a couple of the campers say when they came in that they couldn't eat until they sang a song. They had to sing a song before they got served. Everybody relax. We're not going to sing a song. We're not going to sing a song. But you're going to learn. Well, we are going to sing the Star Spangled Banner after. We'll do it. We'll do it right before dinner. We will do the Star Spangled Banner before dinner. So 3 questions in the Star Spangled Banner, and you get to eat. First, our Fort Roberdeau, that's the formal name, was named after General Roberdeau, who led the expedition up here to get lead ore. So we were a mining camp, a Revolutionary War fort, and we actually had pension veterans that were paid by the federal government for their service in the Revolutionary War. So think about that, Blair County residents. How cool is that we had pension veterans that served at the Fort Roberdeau? So the fort has a nickname. Does anybody know what the nickname of Fort Roberdeau is? I gave you a hint. What were we mining for? Lead. So trivia question number 1 is the lead mine fort. Number 2, if you look out the window down towards the fort, our fort has a different appearance than a lot of forts. Does anybody know what that different look is? The logs are horizontal, and that's because here in Sinkin Valley, our bedrock is right under the ground. If you come out to see the reenactors, they can barely get their tent stakes into the ground, let alone to dig a big pole and stand up the logs vertical. So they laid a foundation of stone and stacked the logs horizontal. So that's number 2. And then the third question we always do with the kids is your vocabulary word for tonight. And when you look at Fort Pitt, Fort Duquesne, Fort Frederick, and the painting right back there, the frontier forts always had that diamond-shaped corner. Does anybody know what the term is for that diamond-shaped corner in the forts, the frontier forts? Bastion, or bastion if you want to say the French word. So everybody say that? Bastion. And the purpose is, those diamond shapes, in the frontier, you never know how many folks you had inside the fort. And so with just 8 people, 2, 2, 2, and 2 in each corner, you could see the whole way around your fort with only 8 people, and nobody could sneak up to you. And My very first summer here at the fort, a young Marine from Altoona came out here. He had his 5-year-old son, and he was so excited to bring his son out to Fort Roberdeau because he could explain to his boy what he did in his job of securing and protecting the perimeter. And he brought him out to see the bastions. And it's really cool. I don't think that happened while you were here at camp, but the military still uses the fort today. They bring the F-15s, the A-10s, and some of the sea cargo planes over. When they fly below radar, they use navigable landmarks. And to this day, the F-15s, the A-10s, and the cargo planes, when they're flying, come over Sinkin Valley, and they use the fort as a landmark. And some of the school kids actually get to see the jets come over. And that's pretty cool. One time, a pilot tipped the wings at the kids, and that was really cool. So I don't think they were flying back when you were here at camp. So that's the 3 questions. Lead mine fort, nickname is lead mine fort, horizontal logs, and bastions. So if we'll stand, we'll do the Star Spangled Banner. And Carol, go ahead. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, oh, so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose rough sights and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly free, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Yeah, let's eat. Thank you, Carol.
All right, sir. What years were you here at the camp?
Well, as I would recollect, going age-wise, I would say it was probably 1950 or 51.
50 or 51. And what was your experience while you were here?
Well, frankly, I enjoyed it. They keep us busy. We went around cleaning up brush and chopping down trees, this and that and the other thing. And, there was some regimentation to it, but personally, I mean, I had no problem with it. We had our times where we could play softball and hike around. They took us on hikes. They took us, fact is, I remember one particular day, we hiked from here to Cave Tituna, if you know where that is. And they took us back in through the cave. It's a water cave, you get back in through. And, of course, hiked back. And as far as, keeping us busy, I remember like cutting brush and doing different, little jobs. But I thought, as far as the experience was concerned, I mean, I just took it as part of the deal. I mean, there was no, in fact, I often thought this, between being here that summer and being in the Boy Scouts, it really, for me, it prepared me for Army life. Because a lot of people had never been in a barracks, or had double bunks or anything like that. So in that respect, that was helpful. And just the overall, the fun that we had here, the work that we did here, and the acquaintances we had here, and also the counselors, they overall thought they were pretty good guys. Of course, they told us a bunch of stories that weren't true. Found out later, one guy was talking about being in the Coast Guard and jumping off the ship and doing this and that and the other thing. You could come to find out he was still in high school. there was 2 or 3 of them here that we all took to be, much older than what they were, because we were, 11, 12 years old. And I remember walking out to a Altoona High game with my sister, and this guy came up who supposedly was one of these old counselors. It was actually one of her schoolmates, junior or senior in high school.
Okay, so what years were you here?
I was here as a counselor in 1968. Just 68.
Oh, you weren't one of the kids that went through?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
And what experience did you take away from here?
Well, it was one of my earliest jobs, so I learned a lot about the world outside of my little hometown, and I enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed the kids. It was a lot of fun. Probably my best job I ever had. Learned a lot about the woodlands, and the experience was great. It really was.
All right, what years were you here at the camp?
I came here in the summer of 1960.
Just 1 year? Or?
Just 1 year. I was going into my senior year of high school, and I served as a counselor along with 3 others and a director, and I was also the lifeguard. At that time I had my senior life savings, and they needed a lifeguard, so I performed the duties as a lifeguard also.
And what was what experience did you take away from being here?
Well, I was only 17 years old at the time, and these children were maybe 12 or 13, maybe a little younger. So we weren't much older. It was a really interesting experience because it was my last year at home, because I went into the Air Force right afterwards. But sharing the experiences with the children, having them have such a good time, being able to get out and play ball, swim, have great food, and we kept them really busy. They had a full day, and they really went away here with good memories, as well as I did, because it was such a heartwarming experience being able to share our time with these children, and yet we alone as adults, so to speak, as older than they were, but still we were children. We learned a lot, I think, from that experience too, and I think some of the things went on to help us later on in our life.
Okay, what years were you here at the camp?
As close as I can figure. Hey, start with, I was somebody 93 years old. I was probably here 1935 or 1936.
1935.
Okay? My mind is going kaput. I can have very little remembrance of it. Okay, but I did know I was here. And actually, even what year, I was probably 11 years old in 36, so it probably was then.
And what, to your best recollection, what was your experience you took away from being here?
Well, as far as I could tell, I probably had a wonderful time. But I can remember one thing that we had. There was a black snake, and we used to have it was a pet around the swimming pool. And all the guys, it was real friendly with us. And very little things like the swimming pool, the playing ball, or anything like that. I have very little recognition of it. Too old, I got. In fact, I don't remember what I had for breakfast. Okay.
Yep.
So,
All right, what years were you here, sir?
I was here in 1948.
Just 1 year?
Yeah.
Okay. And what experience did you take away from being here?
I loved it. It was about 6 weeks of my life up till that time. I had a ball down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did a lot of things, and I learned to swim down here, and got in some problems down here. Not much, but I know me and some other kids got some crates and made swords and was sword fighting, and they took them from us, and we'd go to the kitchen and get dry ice and put it in the water, you know, to make a bubble and stuff like that. Yeah, and it was a discipline thing. I don't remember any of the kids. I was hoping they'd have a list of the ones that were here, but they said they don't. And yeah, I had a good experience. My mother got mad at me because she gave me a whole stack of postcards and I only wrote one the whole 6 weeks I was here. She about disowned me. And so, yeah, we would get up every morning and have calisthenics outside and pledge allegiance to the flag. And we went for a hike one time down to Arch Springs. You're in your bare feet the whole 6 weeks. It's and then mostly I remember they would have a fire at night. There was like a wing off here, and they would read stories. I remember the council reading something from Ulysses. I don't know it, but I just remember that.
All right, sir, what years were you here?
As a student, I was here in 1954, and I was here for 6 weeks. And my counselor was Bob Crago, and I enjoyed it very much. And I always remember the athletics that we went through, and swimming, walking, just enjoying life, and the 3 square meals we got a day by Mr. and Mrs. Nicodemus. They did a beautiful job in cooking.
So what else about the experience here do you remember the most?
That was when I was a youngster. Then when I became a counselor in 1960, I remember the kids that just being around them and having a good time, and they enjoyed the water. The water was a little cool at times, but they went in and they had good times. And baseball, going on hikes together, just being in a good atmosphere of the Kiwanis here. It was just wonderful, and I think I can look back today and say honestly that it showed the kids that they were an invaluable asset to this world, and they would grow up and become good solid citizens.
What years were you here, sir?
I believe it was 1960 or 1961.
Just 1 year?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And while you're here, what experience did you take away from here?
Oh, it was a good time. It was. I learned a lot. Met a lot of people. Enjoyed the fishing, swimming, the exercise, hiking. It was a good time.
Anything else?
No, it's the memories are coming back as I think more about it, but it was a long time ago.
All right, sir. What years were you here at the health camp?
I came once. I think it was around 1956, 56 or 57.
Okay. And what was your experience while you were here?
Well, I was going to say. I was going to dress like I did when I was a camper, but I decided to wear shoes. We didn't wear shoes. And my most vivid memory is that they sent 2 boys down every day to get the mail. And it wasn't blacktop, it was gravel, and not being used to never going without shoes, I thought I'd never make it. But within a couple weeks, we didn't even realize, our feet toughened up, and it was one of the best experiences I ever had. I have one more thing, may I say?
Sure.
Something stuck with me the whole time since I came. Where we ate, on the wall there were twigs nailed on the wall. And they said, every day, in every way, I get better and better. I thought that was a neat saying. I always remembered that.
All right, sir.
What's your name again?
Nate.
Nate, okay, Nate.
What years were you here at the camp?
I was a counselor In 1960, the summer of 1960.
And you never came as a...
No, as a young boy, no, I didn't come here.
And what was your experience while you were here that you remember the most?
Oh my, where to begin? Well, you know, the boys. I had never worked with large groups of boys like that. I had two younger brothers, but it was just fascinating to see them from the time they came to the time they left, and their development and how much they enjoyed the summer here. We had a few boys that were homesick, but for the most part, they just really seemed to enjoy the whole experience. The 4 counselors that summer, we were all seniors that would have been seniors that year, that coming year at Altoona High School, and we all knew each other. The one counselor, Ron Sheriff, I knew very well because I played a lot of baseball and basketball with and against Ron. But the other 2 guys, Bob Lamort and Dick Nixon, were just great guys, and we got along, you know, extremely well. And I think that was reflected in the relationships with the young boys that were here. We had just a lot of activity. I mean, it was nonstop. When I think of it now, you know, from morning until night, I think we often had a campfire in the evening. And that was sort of a wind down and time to relax. Boys would take a shower and get cleaned up, and then we'd call it a night with a campfire. But we had 2 great cooks, the Nicodemuses, husband and wife, and cooking for, I think there were over 50 boys here that summer, is no easy matter, but I can remember how great the food was. And I recall each Sunday, probably half of the boys that were here were Roman Catholic, and 3 of the counselors were. So each Sunday they'd have services for the boys that were Protestant here at the camp. As a matter of fact, the head supervisor, I don't know what his title was at that time, and I can't recall his name, but he actually was involved with the Salvation Army, and he held the service. But for those of us that were Catholic, we went to Our Lady of Lourdes in Altoona and attended Mass. So we'd troop in there with, you know, 20 or 25 boys and 2 or 3 counselors. And I can recall when we'd come back from Mass, the Nicodemuses would always have a late breakfast for us. And not just cereal and, you know, toast, but, you know, eggs and bacon or oatmeal. And, you know, those kinds of things you recall because of the consideration and I think it was reflected with the experience that the boys had, that we the counselors had, and that others who were affiliated and involved in any way with the camp. You know, the weather, it reminds so much this evening of, you know, the drive in here and the weather today, which is just gorgeous. The big blue skies with the white clouds, and the way Sinking Valley opens up. When you drive down from Altoona, you know, you're driving miles, it seems like you're just driving through the woods. And then all of a sudden, the valley opens up. And, you know, it had been 55 years since I've been here. I've been away, you know, gone to college and moved out of the area, and I get back to the area, but I don't drive down to Sinking Valley. And that experience, just the way that valley opened up, I thought, wow, that's exactly the way it was in 1960 when we were here.
All right, sir, what years were you here?
I was here in 1958.
And what was your experience while you were here?
Well, it was a good one because, you know, we were all poor kids from the city, and we didn't know anything about the country, and it was just, they almost had it all, looking at the creek and you know, the cow, the guy had a cow down here and everything like that. But yeah, one of the most interesting things was no one had a watch or a clock. And one of the counselors here made a sundial. So, you know, he got tired of people saying, hey, what time is it? What time is it? You know, so. But then across the creek too, right across between the pool and the warming pond, they had a little place like gnomes. We had campground, stuff like that. But
All right. What years were you here?
1951.
Just 1 year?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your experience while you were here?
Well, it's something different. I wasn't used to that type of, environment. We lived in the city, and I'd never been out in the country at all. And it was, when you first came here, you were scared, because everything was different. And but I remember we had a lot of good times, hiking, and they took us down to that Altoona cave. We walked down from here in our bare feet. And we used to have to walk down and get the mail. They'd take 2 or 3 guys about every 2 or 3 weeks. It'd be your turn to get down and get the mail. And that was a gravel road then. It wasn't even blacktop.
What years were you here at the camp?
I've been a member of Kiwanis since 1961.
And what did you do at the camp?
I did nothing at the camp, but I did the physicals for the boys before they came.
Okay. What would you say was your most memorable experiences dealing with the kids that came here?
We would line the kids up at the YMCA in Altoona and go through them one by one by one, and it never failed anybody.
Any interesting occurrences while they were getting physicals, like anybody start crying or just run away, or?
Oh, they were meltdowns, but they weren't anything to get excited about.
What years were you here at the camp, sir?
48, 49.
So you came here 2 years?
No, it was just 1 year. I don't remember exactly which.
Oh, okay. And what was your experience while you were here?
Oh, I loved it. It was really a great experience for me. It really helped me a lot because I just come out of being sick and all, and it really helped me out. And everything was great. The counselors was great, and I really loved it.
Anything else?
No, well, only real thing is there, we had a couple experiences while I was here, like when we, the one shed up here where you could sit and all, while we're up there, why we found out then a bat will get up in the corner and open its mouth, and you think it's a bird nest, and we thought it was a nest, and went to poke at it, and here it was a bat, and we knocked it down out and then took it up in the woods and caught it and took it up in the woods and left it loose, and that was a nice experience there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, campers, counselors, staff, and Kiwanis. Is that a Kiwanis? Kiwanian. Okay, I get it right. I want to introduce David Scott, the president of the Kiwanis Club, and he's going to have a few remarks on the Kiwanis Club.
Thank you very much. The club here who sponsored this, we can't thank you enough. This is actually a prelude to next year, which we're going to celebrate our 100th anniversary of being in existence as a club. And again, this was thought of thanks to Glenn and myself and Frank Malloy and some of the other members of the club organizing this. Again, it was a great event. What I want to tell you, I know there's the Kiwanis Farm. There's also Buddy Club, which was involved with the, obviously if you were a camper, then you probably might have been involved with Buddy Club, where during the school year, you went to the Altoona YMCA, and again, they had supervised swimming and so forth. Well, guess what? We still have Buddy Club. And again, I know Bob Jones. Bob, raise your hand. And Beth Wissner, who's back in the kitchen, who actually was the caterer for this event, were actually is instrumental in keeping this Buddy Club continuing to this day. What we do is we actually select, not us, but the school district selects certain kids to participate. We supervise swimming at the Altoona High School swimming pool, field house there, and then also we have a program, and it's a 2-hour evening. It's about 12 weeks, and they have to come to so many of the meetings, and if they do, we give them a free pool pass for Prospect Pool. How many people here went to Prospect Pool like I did? There we go, huh? That's a great place. I grew up 2 blocks away. But in saying that, what I want to tell you, our club is looking for new members. And we'd like to continue this club for another 100 years. But to do that, we need members. Okay, we have about 45 members, maybe close to 50, depending on what day it is. But we really could use you. If you have an interest and you're retired and you want to participate, see me after this is over, because we meet at the Calvin House for lunch every Wednesday. I can give you the specifics. We could really use you. And again, it's a great group of individuals. Like I always said, and this is true, I've been involved in the club for almost 20 years, probably more than 20 years, obviously. Probably 25 years. Just time goes by so fast. But I've never been around a nicer group of people than the Altoona Kiwanis Club individuals. Seriously, great individuals, nice people. And if you want that kind of environment, come see me after this is over, and I'm going to recruit you to be a member of the Altoona Kiwanis Club. So we could use you. But thanks again for coming. And again, we're very excited about the turnout. So now let's turn this back over to Glenn.
Thank you, David. And thanks to the Kiwanis Club for sponsoring this. And maybe it might embarrass somebody, but I have to point out to one individual here that kind of was the inspiration for this. Our White Oak Hall here now is the voting precinct for Tyrone Township. They combine both the precincts and people vote here. So the mountain side of the valley votes over in that corner, and the farming side of the valley votes over in this corner. And they still don't cross too much, I'll tell you. So the mountain folk and the farming side of the community. But I was standing here one day when we first started that to make sure everything was going well, and this gentleman came up to me and said, you know, I used to go to camp here. And then he started telling me stories, and as a camp director, I was like, can't hear that story about the boys sneaking under the cabin and crawling under the cabin. And then I have to confess, I got in trouble with the farming half of the community because I heard about this story that the counselors, I don't think it was the ladies, but these counselors told the story about the crazy farmer. And they used the crazy farmer story to keep the boys in the cabin that were homesick, that were thinking about sneaking out and going over the ridge back to Altoona. Did you hear the crazy farmer? Anybody here actually hear the crazy farmer story? Okay. So, yeah, the crazy farmer story. So, Dave and I were on Central PA Live promoting this event, and they asked about any cool things, and I said, oh yeah, some of the counselors will be there, and they'll be telling stories. You know, every camp has their own signature story, and in Camp Kiwanis, Sinking Valley, it was the crazy farmer. And Don said something about crazy, and I said, well, there's a lot of crazy farmers in Sinking Valley, so I know I'm in trouble now. So I got to watch where I park my car. But so that was, and every camp does have its signature camp stories. Where I worked at camp in the western mountains of North Carolina, and the jacktails, if anybody here's a jacktail, we're actually going to do a autumn Halloween themed program this year, and I'll put on my camp counselor hat and tell some of the old jacktails from western North Carolina that I learned down there. One of the things that I wanted to share with everybody is just a little bit of Fort Roberdeau's history. For those, one gentleman told me he hadn't been here. It's been 55 years in here, and the fort was rebuilt in 1976 as Blair County's bicentennial project. The federal government for the bicentennial gave every state a hunk of change to do something for the bicentennial. And then in Pennsylvania, our governor and legislators decided to give all 67 counties got a hunk of change to do something for the bicentennial. And here in Blair County, it was decided to construct Fort Roberdeau because it was a Revolutionary War fort. And we are the westernmost Revolutionary War fort in Pennsylvania. Duquesne, Pitt, that was all French and Indian War. It wasn't the Revolutionary War. So we have unique history. We actually had men that served at Fort Roberdeau that became pension veterans of the Revolutionary War. And, you know, that made America. It's not what makes America. That made America. The frontier spirit, you know, the entrepreneurship of General Roberdeau. And he was actually trying to make a few bucks with this lead mining operation. He was a real patriot. He was a congressman, but he was also trying to make a few dollars on this operation out here too. And people don't realize in 1778, we weren't doing too good during the war. And General Washington and the Continental Army, they were running out of supplies. They were running out of food, clothing, boots, and ammunition. And we needed a domestic lead source. And they had heard about the mines in Sinking Valley. And Sinking Valley is so unique. Its geology, its karst geology with the limestone, that is some of the best farm soil, not only in Blair County, not only in Pennsylvania or the United States. Some of this is the best farm soil in the country. And we forget that. I mean, we had this wonderful meal. And another story I always told at camp, I had a professor at Penn State Altoona, Dr. Chin, who escaped in 1964. His father and mother got the kids on the boat and got out of China because they knew what was going to happen with the Mao Revolution. And Dr. Chin used to teach us, you know, as long as America can feed itself, it will be number one. If China can feed itself, China will be number one. And that is why we have such a blessing with this scenic Sinking Valley and a farming community here in Sinking Valley. So that was always a great thing. And it comes back to food because the Kiwanis Health Camp got started during the Depression when some Kiwanis leaders were concerned about the health of inner city Altoona youth. And they actually, we learned this in our research, they actually screened the applicants. The folks that came down during the Depression, they actually screened the applicants for malnutrition. And that's how the boys were selected. And Scott was on the committee, Dave, I don't know if Christy's here tonight, but we found these old photos, and these boys from the 1930s, they were so skinny, and because of being in a tight lodging, they shaved everybody's head, and then they got one swim trunks. And when we looked at the pictures, like, we all took a deep breath because it almost looked like they were in a concentration camp. That's how skinny those boys were during the Depression. So the Kiwanis Club was so concerned about the malnutrition in the health farm that that's how it came to be. And then they kept it for, we figured like 40 some years. The Kiwanis Club ran it 40 to 50 years. And then there were some changes in regulations and lodgings, and they gave it up. And some other organizations took it over and ran it for another decade or so until it was sold to the county. So it's now part of Fort Roberdeau. And Fort Roberdeau, we attract people. Last year we had 8,500 paid visitors. That's not the people that just come and enjoy the grounds. We had from 42 states and 22 foreign countries that come to this. And it's the best kept secret. And one of the things the locals I would ask is to encourage people to come out and visit the fort. We have a fantastic volunteer crew that Peggy back there in the corner, she outfits in Frontier clothing. It's very authentic. We do the best that we can. And we celebrate our founding by the Revolutionary War. And we have an open house on July 4th. It's a great program. The activities start at 11. We have a Native American that does authentic storytelling, and we have a bluegrass band from 3 to 5 to close today. So Blair County, we already have your 4th of July planned out. You go downtown Altoona in the morning, participate in the Wise Run, the race, 4th of July. Come out here. We don't care if you stop home and shower or not. Just come straight to the fort. We have a fantastic History by Day program here. And then in the evening, you can go right over the mountain to Del Grosso's and enjoy the fireworks. So your 4th of July program is planned right there. So I'd like to open the floor to any questions or comments, or if anybody wants to share something on the fort. Have the Amish made a big difference in Sinking Valley? The answer would be yes, because their population grows, but they also protect the farmland and the agriculture. But yes, and they're here because of the farming. The farming is that good. So, yes.
And they're good bakers.
Yeah. Yes. So. Yes. Yes. I hope the battery doesn't die on us here. The question was, he noticed, Bob, right? Yeah. Bob asked about the fort, and if you look out the window, you can see that we're working our way around the fort, replacing the logs. A couple things. Because the fort was a bicentennial project, it was put up very fast. So they used steel beams, and they kind of dropped the logs in like Lincoln logs. So you can see the one corner, the logs still overlap, and any good fort raider could climb right up those inner logs and get inside the fort. In the old days, they would have cut those logs off and they would have been dovetailed so that you wouldn't have the corners. The other thing that we're doing is hewing the logs. We're taking the front off the logs because that gets rid of the round, soft area. That's where the bugs get in. And you take off the bark and you hew the logs so that it's harder in the hardwood, and it takes a lot longer for those logs to decompose. In the old days, sometimes they did put up cabins really fast, and they still had the bark on it, and there were stories you could hear the bugs at night chewing underneath the bark in the logs. Yeah, it doesn't make it easy to sleep back then. So, any other questions? All right. Well, being a camp reunion, I have a couple things, and then we'll just let you socialize and filter out, and I'll see if Dave has any closing remarks. But one of the things we do with the camper, for the kids that come down here, it was pouring rain here at 2:30. We're like, oh no, not again. We've had so much rain. But when the campers come here, we do this thing called Sunday. So you don't have to stand up, but you do have to participate. And we used to do this in our camp too down in North Carolina, because it rains a lot in the mountains in North Carolina. But you take your left foot, and everybody put both feet on the floor. I just want to remind everybody about camp and community. Camp generates community. So much when children, youth, and teens have to live, do their chores together, work together. It is a life-changing. The people in their room are here because it was a life-changing event for them. So let's give the Kiwanis Club another round for sponsoring. Anybody want to share? Open table, open mic. Anybody want to share their camp experience? There we go. Thank you. I need at least one.
Well, the three of us were here. Lexi was here, and she was the lifeguard. And you started 69. The swim instructor, sorry, excuse me. And then Becky and I were here from 70, 71, 72, 73. But it was such a great experience because sometimes when you were talking about the kids and how they brought in the first group of kids, some of the kids when they came, I mean, it meant everything to all of us because to some of them, we were the only ones that we ever put our arms around them, you know, or they ever came and got to say, it's sad. I'm happy to be here, but now it's the end of the day and I have to go home and I don't really want to. And then we reminded, but you get to come back tomorrow. And Thursday was always our camp overnight. And that was so extraordinary because such bonding went on. It went on all the time anyway. But in the night, each group would be at their own campfire site, and then together, they'd go in their tents, and the counselors would sit around, and we'd try to get together where you could see, like the fort. We'd be in the center, but you could see all the tents around you. And we'd just, like, tell stories and share what happened that day and talk about what the kids did. And, like, we always were trying, they were so smart. They really kept you on your toes. They pushed you. You know, you had to really prepare your own self forward. So if we were going to do arts and crafts day, we always were trying to help them look at things in a natural way. So one year we were going to do tie-dyed shirts. So we had grass. We went out and picked all the grass we could find, and we boiled that in one pot. We had dandelions over here. We had berries in that pot. We had the shavings off the carrots from lunch. We had onion skins, and all those natural bright colors. Every kid made their own shirt. I mean, you would have think that they went home with the gold bar in their hand because they made that themselves. And it was just such a marvelous, sharing, loving experience, and we all learned together. I mean, we used to do crazy things, like one time we put a rowboat in the swimming pool, and little did we know it had a hole in it, but we found that out. And when we would have the roundups at lunchtime, or like before you start the day, we have such great sing-alongs, and kids could think up anything they wanted. We used to do this thing where the kids would sing, there was an old lady who swallowed a fly, and we used to just sing that because it was fun. But then one day, we just started acting it out. And so we dropped to the ground. It was just spontaneous and loving and just fulfilling in every way. And that's what draws so many of us back from Florida, from Altoona, I'm in Maryland now. And I'm sure a lot of you come from other states pretty far away. But look, we all came back, didn't we? Because of what it means. What it meant then and what it still means to us now and what we carry in our hearts with us. So I just thank all of you for the opportunity for us all to join together and keep this energy going. All right.
There's the camp counselor. Well, hi, you're back. Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else like to share? Well,
I'd like to thank Kiwanis for caring about the youth in this community, and from the very beginning to the end. Growing up in the Altoona community myself, I was an inner city person, and my father was dead. My mother raised us on commodities. I don't know how many of you know what commodities are, but I grew up there. I met my friend for life from age 11 on. Best person or maid of honor, my wedding, and my other friend that I met by working here. We've been friends for life, but the thing that really bonded us was that sense of community and caring for young people that all of us dedicated our lives to, then having a real heart for knowing what it's like to grow up in East End, and you had at least a few good friends that you could relate to and be safe with, and then go forth. And the thing for me as being a lifeguard swimming instructor was really my major job here. I didn't care how cold the water was, and it was really cold. I was in there holding those kids' hands and making sure that I taught every one of them how to swim for those 5 years, because I really believed that with enough faith they could overcome anything, including all kinds of obstacles in life. And I think that I was able to carry that out and continue to carry that message to young people. I went on, even though I was actually an orphan at age 17, went on to get 4 degrees and have a very happy, blessed life. And I believe that everyone has the potential, but the one factor that really matters in children overcoming and being resilient is that they have caring and competent adults who touch their lives somehow, whether it's your camp director, whether it's your teacher, whether it's your neighbor, your grandparent, your parent. You need caring people to really witness and model for you a different possibility. And so I want to thank Kiwanis for seeing that everybody really had the kind of caring and love and support and dedication that was shown at this camp. Thank you very much.
All right. So, do you know the crazy farmer story?
But I will say this much. The one evening, of course, the way the building was then, there was a big bunkhouse spread along here, and you could see down through the oven. There was no fort there or anything at that time. And of course, we all had double beds where you could look down through. And this particular Sunday evening, there was a terrific storm with lightning, and boy, when the lightning came, it just lit the whole place up. Well, somebody saw the crazy farmer going across the lawn down here, and you never heard any more crying and carrying on. And I didn't see a thing, so that didn't involve me. But I think that was one thing maybe the counselors may have used to kind of keep everybody under control, because the story was if you misbehaved, the crazy farmer is going to get you. And you didn't want to have that happen.
Thank you.
Hey, forgive me if I don't get up, but I was here in 1960 as a counselor. I also was a lifeguard. And with me was Ron Sheriff and Ken McGarry, and Dick Nixon isn't here. But these stories that you're talking about, our kids were so good and they liked us so much, we didn't make stories up because they didn't want to go anywhere. They liked being with us. But the things that boys learned, I think we also did as young men, because we were just going into our senior year of high school. And we were just getting to know exactly what we were going to do or where we were heading. So I think we were growing up just as much as they were. And to get the opportunity that these boys had was just phenomenal. And it's really, I wish that it could be still going on today in the manner that it was then. All things change, and sometimes for the best. And I think that the Kiwanis, I'm really happy to see that they were able to bring this together, and the people that are here representing the Kiwanis. It's a great thing. And at that particular time, I remember Lou Marhofer, and I also remember Byron McDowell, I believe was his name. They were very instrumental in the Kiwanis. And they were just great people, and they did so many wonderful things for these kids. They even had new clothes when they came. And I mentioned this in an article in the paper, how the children, when they came, they were homesick, they cried. And it was kind of heart-wrenching, because it was just, you had to control them and try to teach them that they were going to be in good hands, that they were going to have a good time. But then again, when they left, they were just as upset, because I think they learned a lot, and they knew what life was about too, and they knew that there was another way to live. And that was all because of the Kiwanis. And I think that these things were really great experiences, not only for them, but for us too.
Anybody else would like to share?
I'm Kay Stevens. I'm with the Altoona Mirror, and I wrote this story that was in the paper on Monday. And I just want to thank the Kiwanis for doing this, because I had no idea that there was a swimming pool out at Fort Roberdeau. And I didn't arrive in Altoona until 1977. So I was, when I saw this story, I thought, oh, that's a good story. I wonder how many former campers I can find. And somebody else said, you sure you're going to find any? And I found lots of good ones. And I thank you for calling me. I thank you for making the connection. And I really did appreciate it and had a good time with the story.
Anybody on this end? We kind of, here we go.
I'm David Klepper, and I came down here not as a camper, not as a counselor, but when I was at Penn State University as a student, we had what they called the Circle K, which was a college division of the Kiwanis Club. So we came over here, I came over here in 1961 and in May, and we did a lot of cleaning up. And I remember a lot of things here. And I have to say, it's a sad thing to see that all of it is gone. And if it could have been kept up and restored, kept and restoring, just think of what it would be like to have that and coupled with Fort Roberdeau. This would be tremendously a vacation spot for people. Now, he talked about, Don talked about people coming here from all over the world. Let me tell you, there would be many more people that would come here if this was all would have been restored and kept. And it's a sad commentary because our history is now lost. But I'm glad that we had this reunion, and of course, there's only one person I know, and that's Larry right up here. Of course, I've known Don, but all the rest of you, this is the first time I have ever met you because, you know, I was a college student, and we came over here just to work, to help, to clean up and get ready for the opening day of camp for the Kiwanis Club. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Well, Dave's going to make a couple closing remarks, and then you can't get away from a camp reunion without one song. Carol and I are going to wing Yankee Doodle after Dave is done.
Thanks, Glenn. All I want to say again, on behalf of the club, we can't thank you. We're as excited as you are to be here, as we are being here with you. And also, I want to rate a friend of mine. I recruited him as a member this past year, Lou Schmidt. Everybody knows Lou Schmidt, basketball, Altoona, St. Francis. Louis agreed to take over the Buddy Club because Bob was laid up. And actually, Lou and Beth has been running Buddy Club now the past year. And again, Lou just stepped up to the plate as a new member and helped us out to keep Buddy Club going. So again, we really need you as a member so we can keep Buddy Club going. And I want to thank the other members who helped organize this. And again, have a great evening, and thank you so much.
Okay, well, Carol's working her way over to the keyboard. We do have great history programs here. Our 4th of July can't be beat. Pick up a brochure on the way back. We have the flyer, History by Day, fireworks at night, our partnership with Del Grosso's, and then our Rev War Days, real reenactors. They do a battle. If you're up to it, they have a walking skirmish through the woods, and then they have a big battle below the fort, and come see that. And when you go below the fort, you'll see for you camp people, we're doing something really new and exciting in partnership with the Altoona Area School District and Mr. Jim Krug with the Altoona near Armstrong Planetarium and Astronomy Club. We're putting in a small observatory with 2 really good telescopes. So Sinking Valley also has a beautiful night vision, and partly because of the Amish population, we don't have a lot of light pollution. So it's going to be fantastic stargazing. I always joke that we're going to be Gettysburg West and I just went blank. The park that has the night sky viewing, Cherry Hill, whatever, up in the northern plateau of Pennsylvania, they have a night sky park. We're also going to be Blair County's night sky park here with the Altoona Astronomy Club. And I want you to come down and meet Mr. Krug. I have so much respect for him because he's a camp counselor at heart. He's still a teacher. He brings his astronomy club out, 70 Altoona students strong, on an overnight field trip. There's not too many teachers in this day and age that has the backbone to take kids off campus on an overnight trip. And Mr. Krug is still one of those teachers that has the backbone to bring his students off campus on an overnight trip. And he's a real leader, and we're looking forward to getting that open this winter. So that's another thing to come back to the fort for as well. And we also place young students. We have 3 tour guides that are college-age students that learn the history, and we do that. So please pick up those flyers while we're there. Now, I got Carol in position, and this does not mean that you have to leave when we're done. You're welcome to stay and visit and socialize. But this is what we do for the school tour in closing. When they come out here, we raise the flag. Why do you raise a flag over a fort, first of all? Yeah, who's in control of the fort, you know? So if I'm a Tory and I come down there and I see the Patriot flag, I know not to go to the fort. If I'm a Patriot and I see a British flag, I know not to go to the fort. So you flew the flag to show who was in control of the fort. So at flag ceremony with the schools, and we try to stay in the period, do we do the Star Spangled Banner? No. When was the Star Spangled Banner written? 1814. It was during the War of 1812, but it wasn't written until 1814. So we don't do that. Do we do the Pledge of Allegiance? No, that wasn't written yet. What is the Revolutionary War song that was written? Yankee Doodle. Yeah, we have some people that have been here before. But it was really to make fun of us, the British soldiers. And General Washington started to turn the war around. I forget which battle, but one of the battles down in Virginia, he had the British POWs lined up, and he ordered his troops to sing Yankee Doodle back at the British POWs down there in Virginia. So that's how we're going to close. Every camp has to close with a song. So we're going to do the first verse of Yankee Doodle to close the formal part of the program. Ready, Carol? Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Music and with the girls and yay! Thank you, and come down and visit the fort when it's open sometime. We'd love to see you there. Thank you.